So this storm is now, it's Monday evening, I think it's July 21st. This is the second time today that this has happened. Today is Saturday, August 15th, 2015. It's about 7:20. We have a storm that's lasted. We've had thunder and lightning for about 15, maybe 20 minutes. And this is the water that's coming down. Coming under the culvert. Now this is really important to recognize, is that the same culvert that the Holly House has used for a number of years has absolutely no water coming into it at all. And this is typically the case. There's very little, if any, water that ever comes. And this is the amount of water coming from the development. Now this is immediately across the street. Both channels that were dug to kind of try to hold the water back, at least, no longer functioning. It's going right over the road, covered the road, and the water, it's very evident from across the street where that water is coming from with the documented evidence. And this is where it's coming down across the street, across the road, and immediately, absolutely immediately, as soon as it hits where the spring was, the water's muddied, eroded, and this is going into the pond a little bit further south of us, which is a documented wetland in the state of Massachusetts. Again, Monday the 28th, this is where the water's coming from across the street and where it's causing the erosion, and you can see the muddy water that's going down into the pond. Now I'm walking up from the primary pond, and this is the only source this spring is the only source that feeds that pond. And you can see here now at its typical level, it's about 6 inches wide or so. You can see my foot in reference to it. 8 inches at some points. It's not all that wide. Now this is a little bit further down, but I want to show this whole bank here. It's tough to see, and I don't want to get too far in it, but all this is cut away at the you can see the color of the water, but it's all cut away at the edge of the bank here. If I can do this without falling in. It's all new erosion. What's problematic even more is the second pond, which I'm going to show you in just a second, or the first pond I should say, where this spring feeds into. It is completely washed away the road that the water exits on, and I'll go down there in just a minute. This is the primary pond. Again, it's June 22nd, the day after the rain from yesterday. The pond is cloudy, full of mud, and you can see that this part here is completely filled in with mud. That wasn't even the case as of last fall. This was still had a little bit of water, only a few inches, but it has since filled in more. This is from the mud, the erosion. It's turned the pond that chocolate milk color again. And then the disturbing part is here. All the ZBA members that went on the thorough visit witnessed this, as did all the Conservation Commission members that have been on the site visit. And this is the result of this storm. Today is Sunday, August 16th. Prior to this, we could cross this fairly easily. Well, we could by foot. And those were the tubes that went underneath the road here, and this follows its way down to the neighbor's pond, but it's completely gone now. We used to take snowmobiles, a tractor. This was a a road. And to give you a sense of how close this is coming to taking our pond out, we are probably within it's no more than about 10 yards, probably 8 yards or so. So this is becoming quite dire, and this is all water that's the vast majority of it is coming from across the street, and this was a storm that lasted approximately 1 hour. And the only water that feeds this pond here is from a natural spring on the south side of the logging road that shows considerable erosion now as well. It's pretty troubling though. This is a view of our second pond, spring-fed pond. The spring originates about 100 yards north of where the pond is right now. There has been extensive damage to the stream that comes from the spring due to the volume of water that comes from across the street, and the development has caused considerable erosion problems, has filled in this pond considerably to the point where most of it now is less than a foot deep when it was previously 3 to 4 feet deep on each end, and toward the middle probably closer to 5 to 6 feet. And then to show the extent of the erosion here and how close we are to losing this pond, this is now from where the water deposits and goes down to the neighbor's pond, which eventually carries to the Housatonic River. We're only about 10 feet away from losing this pond where the current state of erosion is. Again, that's probably 7 or 8 feet wide, 4 or 5 feet deep, and it's cut away this entire wood road that we used to use as access, and it's cut a channel like this almost all the way down to the neighbor's pond. It's cut away one of their wood roads as well, and it's caused considerable erosion all the way down and into, or just before his pond as well. But it looks just about the same for the entirety of the path from this pond to the next, and there's only erosion problems when there's an event and stormwater fills the pond across the street at the development, and it comes across the street onto our property and eventually to the neighbors, and then deposits in the Housatonic River. This is again Saturday, August 15th, 2015. Might be about 7:25 now. This is the second pond on the property. A picture of this, I'm walking over because you can see actually and I don't want to get too close to the edge, but the erosion, the mud is actually falling off the face of that little mound there. And this was the pond, now it's all overflowed with, or filled over with grass and weeds. This is a view of our second pond. That oak tree is referenced in a few other pictures of this, of the base of what the pond used to be. It used to be 2-3 feet deep at least. It's been filled in with sediment from erosion. 4 or 5 feet deep, and it's cut this channel that's anywhere from probably 10 feet wide to about 20 feet wide, and at its peak it's about 12-13 feet deep. But this was and is a wetlands resource area.